desktop realm of the thing, Let me make sure I have a thing. Alright, that. Let's do it. Oh yeah.
The dork follows Niles Malinowski, episode 11 Garden Knock. What's up, my independent acolytes who can step away at any time? It is I, Niles, the school counselor for sorcery and environments. We're gonna close out our series on pitfalls to talk about two of the major ones. Thinking you're a G of D, which sometimes leads to obtaining OPP. Let me elaborate on this. There's a lot more than just manipulating energies into various types. Let's start small and move along. Our very first discussion here was envy, and when we covered envy, I mentioned a story of a fellow wisp named Robert who was enjoying himself immensely, having seen some great shows on Broadway. But on his way home one evening, he finds a beautiful young woman he had never seen before. When he passes by her, he is consumed with a powerful urge to touch her long, silky brown hair. He could feel this urge slowly building deep inside of him, but knowing that he would probably just ruin her pretty face if he touched it, he gives into this insanely strong desire for her hair and leans over to her until he can smell the scent of her perfume as she is heading up the stairs. He then hurls the poor girl headfirst down the flight of steps, killing her instantly. Yes, that story happened a couple months ago. My point in telling the story about Robert wasn't that every desire should be honored by indulging it. You will find yourself miserable without anything to do on your own at any moment. And what you're really thinking about when it happens is spending as much time as possible doing it. Next thing you know, your son won't wake up until he feels like going to school instead of dragging us all the way there in time while trying to make sure he has his fucking coffee and getting his books put together. These little tiny obsessions don't require money, they don't take food or shelter. It is literally consuming as many minutes of free time as possible by indulging these minute desires. Maybe you find someone else's boyfriend better than yours. Your best friend keeps talking about having to have sex with all sorts of strange people on Tinder. So you find 5 different guys online to chat with. Maybe you stole an entire peanut butter cup from your kid because it was your favorite one ever. Is the sacrifice worth it? No. My point here is the more we do the stuff, the less time we actually have. That doesn't make those little things important. Don't get me wrong, I'll sit back and relax as much as the next person, but life would be way too short for me not to invest into bigger ideas and pushing against barriers. When Robert killed the girl on a flight of steps, he couldn't feel even a little bit of sorrow about what he had done. That is just the kind of guy he is now, and I wouldn't have him as a close family member. On a related note, in this country we think having an entire planet can go fuck itself because we haven't been paying attention to space. What kind of game is that? And because some crackers came out and said whatever was meant to offend us got their butts kicked. Meanwhile, the government was torturing people who have already died or not let them vote. You'd have thought we would get over some serious shit after seeing them get their butts handed to them like we saw on CNN all the time, but look how that worked out. Obviously those things aren't significant enough to make a difference in our lives. If we don't want these people telling us about the state of the universe or even where to place the solar system on the map, I can guess that we're kind of cool with any other country's war tactics getting pulled. Oh, we're sorry. There are others who seek to give orders to everything everywhere. Asterisk shot asterisk, these are the people you call mindless. They can't think for themselves. They know nothing about life. They seem to respect everyone equally, and they only help those who need it and work with peace. When one of these dorks makes themselves apparent, someone else wants to fuck their world up. The other pitfall here is when they manipulate themselves, be it using their powers or turning to magic to try and bring upon great changes to their life that only benefit the individual. They don't consider consequences. They've got that power, so fuck it. This leads to a constant feeling of not being yourself unless you use these powers, and before you know it, you've fallen into what we call the ghost of choices. You know how many times you used magic in order to take drugs last year? Check your fucking phone. You probably have saved up all the numbers in a column with tally marks. Trust me. So if you're lost as to whether you're a G or B, then make sure you get yourself tested regularly and find someone who will be objective about the whole thing. Another strategy I highly recommend is once you do self-realize that you've crossed paths with OPP, use something like marijuana to take some time off from it all and learn how to cultivate a different way of living. Also, you should start listening to metal if that's at all possible. Hey kids, your hand talking to you. If you were willing to just stop because someone said something bad about you and let it eat away at your psyche until the moment your ugly ass fell down those stairs, you DOP. Fortunately, this type of weakness isn't nearly as common today. There have been far better ways to deal with it made available since that horrible incident before.
Nice one.
That was like almost 2,000 years ago now, wasn't it? Couldn't we have done better by learning from that fiasco? I'm not the forgiving type, but I could do a lot worse than you living in luxury off the love of your friends and family while showing others what a beautiful soul you really are. How about this parable taken from the headlines of one's personal history? Ram Dass, you heard of him? Great. So he had a brother who he visited at the Colosseum in the pre-deinstitutionalization days, and Farka was there for years because he thought he was God. When Ram Dass came into his room one day, the bloke goes, "Why am I in the asylum and you're walking around?" And Ram Dass plucked a green apple now and later from his brother's mouth and took it as his own while saying, "Well, you believe that you are the one and only true God. I believe that everyone is God. It is not known if Ram Dass ate the now and later, or if it was part of their inside joke humor as brothers. We probably will never know. All we do know is that the mental patient's face lit up. He nodded, then sighed instead of Ram Dass until finally looking forward and drifting off to sleep. Ram Dass knew then that if anyone else were in his chair that he wouldn't have done it, but because it was him, because he couldn't tell if he was another person or not. So he left the apple alone in case it was poison, and all of a sudden seemed much too precious a gift for someone without a name. How can we feel satisfied in any other way? As long as we do right by others and act on kindness, we will find balance along the road toward happiness. And how wonderful is it when another sees you in this way and acts in a good manner as well. How about this parable taken from the headlines of one's personal history? Ram Dass, you heard of him? Right. So he had a brother who he visited at the Colosseum in the pre-deinstitutionalization days, and Fokker was there for years because he thought he was God. When Ram Dass came into his room one day, the bloke goes, "Why am I in the asylum and you are walking around?" And Ram Dass plucked a green apple now and later from his brother's mouth and took it as his own while saying, "Well, you believe that you are the one and only true God. I believe that everyone is God. It is not known if Ram Dass ate the now and later, or if it was part of their inside joke humor as brothers. We probably will never know. All we do know is that the mental patient's face lit up. He nodded, then sighed and stared at Ram Dass until finally looking forward and drifted off to sleep. Ram Dass knew then that if anyone else were in his chair that he wouldn't have done it, but because it was him, because he couldn't tell if he was another person or not. So he left the apple alone in case it was poison, and all of a sudden seemed much too precious a gift for someone without a name. How can we feel satisfied in any other way? As long as we do right by others and act on kindness, we will find balance along the road toward happiness. And how wonderful is it when another sees you in this way and acts in a good manner as well. On his way home, Ram Dass came across a fellow chained to the door to mess hall. He asked the bloke's name, and he said, "Name's is Legion, 'cause we like the show, and we've got a shitty version of dissociative identity disorder." Ram Dass nods and asks if he wants a good escape, and the bloke nods. So Ram Dass took out a red now and later and threw it at the bloke's forehead, which kicked the demons out of the body and into a group of pigs at a leather bar down the street, for it was morning. Indeed, they were off to an after party at some guy's apartment. By morning, the pig had overdone it on the sniffing and huffing of ether, so he went running around and making out with trash cans and chased them around and back. That was the story I read while pretending to listen to some stupid rock and roll band whining about how hard life was. This was after, of course, I woke everyone up, especially the hot blonde chick in front of me who tried to shoot up some beer because that is obviously what people should be doing for breakfast. The story ends there because I stopped watching after it became clear they didn't need my help to figure out they really suck. So I might as well call it a night. That is also how things are nowadays. Not enough excitement in life. On his way home, Ramdas came across a fellow chained to the door to mess hall. He asked the bloke's name, and he said, "Name's is Legion, because we like the show, and we've got a shitty version of dissociative identity disorder." Ramdas nods and asks if he wants a good escape, and the bloke nods. So Ramdas took out a red noun later and threw it at the bloke's forehead, which kicked the demons out of the body and into a group of pigs that led the bar down the street, for it was morning. Indeed, they were off to an after-party at some guy's apartment. By morning, the pig had overdone it in the sniffing and huffing of ether, so he went running around and making out with trash cans and chased them around and back. That was the story I read while pretending to listen to some stupid rock and roll band whining about how hard life was. This was after, of course, I woke everyone up, especially the hot blonde chick in front of me who tried to shoot up some beer because that is obviously what people should be doing for breakfast. The story ends there because I stopped watching after it became clear they didn't need my help to figure out they really suck, so I might as well call it a night. That is also how things are nowadays. Not enough excitement in life. And there won't be any excitement in starting a cult either, which is what is liable to happen if you take your magic too seriously. Magic will almost certainly get more powerful as you pursue higher forms and passive enlightenment, but nobody knows who will die. Sure, it would be great to see something more significant come about, but God and all of his angels protecting us. You think we need them right now? All those unending choices. It's fucking exhausting trying to keep up. Personally, I only deal with this stress by listening to my favorite music and being able to afford cocaine when the night is over. Lots of kids my age don't realize they can just turn to drugs to cover it up. Because why doesn't someone want to tell us how it should be instead? They sure don't tell us not to do drugs. Like I said before, let that motherfucker burn. What? Samantha in the production booth? You were saying? Oh, they do tell us not to do drugs. I thought that was the universe that was orthogonally adjacent to ours. Damn it. So do I need to get rid of all these drugs now? Or are the powers that be lazy? Oh, I'm Irish and not on the radar. Phew, awesome. Thanks. If there's one thing this country hasn't done too bad with besides liquor, it's the problem of the munchkins from Lollipop Guild. I'll tell you another one. You know you're going crazy when people start singing. My point is, don't rush out and smoke anything that isn't rolled on paper. The choices make one thing things aren't making sense anymore, so go back to simple living to find balance. It's not worth it, it never is, at least until something changes in the world. That's when a select few of us who give a shit might like to grab onto what we believe to be true even though no one has proven it to us yet. May just as well use that power for good. And if you are looking for a route of administration that is right for you, instead of seeking a fame, which is effective but not long-term minded, might I suggest spoofing? It's what the witches used to do. What do you think room 6 are for? The police have it all wrong. They need to put much drugs on it first. But then again, there could be an extra benefit to it, because the orgasm is life-sustaining. Though they say that about eating and drinking, come on. Only someone from the Dark Ages would try to reason in such a way. You don't need money for pussy. UP is good enough already. You can use that to get higher than God while avoiding prison. Wait. You heard me. Indeed. He is high as God. Sick, disgusting, and sublime at the same time. That should be a warning to anyone who wants to start experimenting with the idea of God. Oh, what is this smell? Jesus Christ in a red bull's eye. I'm telling you, that's your problem right there. Hydrate. Hydrate, hydrate. Or the terrorists have won, and the Pentagon will have won, and Lyndon Large will have enjoyed having a draw. He will take his satisfaction in small things for another 1,000 years, and when he finally dies, nothing will have changed. So guess what, guys and girls, I won't have made a difference. I've been in all of the wrong places too late to change shit. See, it's all messed up now. We've gone back to those old bad habits instead. We go outside and everything goes white. Our problems. When we open our eyes, there's no one who knows how to solve our problem anymore, so we resort back to video games instead. We take two parallel journeys, separate but equal-ed, and really can you blame us? For so long, humanity has lived with the lie that hope is important. Love, empathy, and connection are all well and fine, but hope is magic. And our gut has shit for brains. Hope is not magic. Hope has been co-opted by the oppressor long ago, and they need you to have hope because it is the only thing that enables you to stick it up one more day under the oppressor, who is hoping to ride on your hope until he does and his children foot the bill. It makes a person want to fight harder for the American way of life if he were actually born into it, otherwise fuck off. Everyone's full of shit who says they're different, but some ain't. We're different, and we should sit back and learn from them even though our reality comes with the job. That is real cool, keep being good guys. But sometimes our best friends, the ones who love us as much as we do, might be terrible people, and knowing this seems to make people hesitate. Never forget that whoever's opinion matters most about you is almost certain to turn out to be wrong. Not quite a zombie yet, but as close as fucking possible. You will see in every kid who is exceptionally brash and clever when they first arrive at the school that their personality changes over time, becoming darker and darker after numerous. And our gut has shit for brains. Hope is not magic. Hope has been co-opted by the oppressor long ago, and they need you to have hope because that is the only thing that enables you to stick it out one more day under the oppressor, who is hoping to ride on your hope until he does and his children foot the bill. It makes a person want to fight harder for the American way of life if you were actually born into it, otherwise fuck off. Everyone's full of shit who says they're different, but some may. We're different, and we should sit back and learn from them even though our reality comes with the job. That is real cool, keep being good guys. But sometimes our best friends, the ones who love us as much as we do, might be terrible people, and knowing this seems to make people hesitate. Never forget that whoever's opinion matters most about you is almost certain to turn out to be wrong. Not quite a zombie yet, but as close as fucking possible. You will see in every kid who is exceptionally brash and clever when they first arrive at the school that their personality changes over time. becoming darker and darker after numerous ass-raping years of bullying. Just wait till middle school graduation, no longer caring to hold the walls up at all. We all fall apart eventually, and if we hold together anymore, it's due to instinct and chemical depression, which is just another form of entertainment for them. Not that a bunch of numbskulls could ever entertain themselves without it. Oh, I guess that is different as well. Sometimes these struggles can leave a scar that keeps on hurting years after you stop playing or wrestling with it. A literal one is known as a cicatrice, French for scab, used to describe small scars left by scratches. There are physical ones, as in the psychological scarring created from daily disappointment. To put it simply, if a girl asked me if I thought God was real, my answer would probably have been, I don't know, but now we definitely disagree. After learning more and taking back what little truth I held, that memory would slowly fade while I gained acceptance. Many start searching to figure out who they truly were again, what made them upset about things like global warming and chemtrails being everywhere, which one-time boyfriend looks eerily similar to John Smith from Independence Day, and why there seems to be a government cover-up every time so many people disappear. Suddenly your entire social circle goes dark. Some lose their jobs for speaking out. Some die before revealing anything substantial. Others just disappear. It makes you feel crazy trying to get help or find others to relate to, because whenever you open up, you'll hear comments like, "Don't worry, I'll pray for you." Just remember, we can never really escape ourselves as long as our sanity hangs in the balance, and the universe only takes on that form that reflects our beliefs unless it finds someone like me or Henry Rollins or Judas Priest. And those are true psychopaths who live too hard, suffer to prove something to themselves or the world at large, then return to soak up whatever the tabloids spew when the shit hits the fan, meanwhile becoming popular again without doing shit that matters. It's magic. Magic. Oh look, I hit the tip of my pinky nail on the space bar on accident. You know what I was going for. Just wait till you hear what this poor bastard went through this morning. Yes, your whole family just murdered you. Zombies. Next week, we'll talk about zombies and the miracle substances that makes them. Scopolamine, except on your tongue. If you loved my last post and found out that I would never intentionally write a sentence like that if I read it aloud, you should actually appreciate this. I promise it doesn't mean what you think. To be more specific, how 1 in 5 Americans, compared to 1 in 800 Italians, won't immediately admit to having voted for George Bush in a new poll. The question being, does anyone care enough about this to pay attention to it? The answer is yes, they do, but how many are pissed off by it might go without saying. Shit, I don't even know anymore. Time will tell. That's called politics, folks, it's bullshit. Now sit down and shut up. I'll give you all another chance to obey orders in return for a little story from my past. A lot of people have died before the first hour of the school year has passed. When it dawns on you that there may not be much left of you later, you begin to truly experience what it means to be alive. You know, before you die, you rarely think about what exactly is real, or even what life really is. Is it anything more than this planet we share, as thought experiment after thought experiment shows us? Are we living for more or nothing, or some grey area in between, or hell, even something else entirely? Has anyone ever understood what life is, really? Have you seen any pictures of the edge of existence, where time and space's natural boundaries begin and end? You might realize that just beyond these walls we are so fond of ignoring lies an unrelenting void of confusion and hate. And shut up, you folks working on the James Webb Telescope. We are not asking you. You know what? I bet I'm doing better right now than you are, and I don't even understand what the heck the word physics means. But look at those damn photographs again, carefully. God? Yes, maybe. And if that's real, then maybe. Just maybe it ain't half bad after all. Okay, guys and girls, it's been real and I'm out of here. Don't forget to visit my friend Sparky in the Dark Lord later today, and always remember, God's wrath is the only thing that can keep reality real. When has he ever not done his job? Not once. So suck it up, buttercups. Jesus. Oh, fuck. I seem to have forgotten how to edit myself.
And we love you all the more for it. You're the closest thing to morning zoo that I have ever seen this decade. Big one. Obviously, I say goodnight to chat folks. If there are chat folks in there, I don't know. I want to see what pots are there. What pots are there? Yawning. Hello, another TV viewer and Nintendo Switch Extra Large for her pleasure. Good night. Good night. May your Switch give her pleasure.